Welcome to the Client Tips and Tricks series by Gideon Taylor. Today, we're going to talk about building Visual Ifs. We'll discuss how to build a simple Visif to align with a business process with multiple conditions, how to build a more complex Visual If, and some tips around using Visual If logic in eForms. The first part to building a Visif is understanding the business requirement and breaking it into its individual pieces and criteria. For example, let's say we have a form that a user fills out to request reimbursement for a meal. As a part of this form, we have an instruction field that explains we will reimburse 100% of the cost, but we only want to show this information in certain situations. This is a perfect case for a dynamic Visif. The business requirement is that we reimburse the entire meal if it's under $10 or if the meal was part of a sales meeting. This business process has two pieces to it, the part about the overall cost of the meal and the part about the meal's occasion. Notice that we have an OR criteria, which means either of these pieces can be true for us to compensate the entire meal. Since we captured the total amount of the meal, and if it's for a sales meeting in the form, we can build this Visif easily by referencing those fields. When we build this in the Visif builder, we need to add two pieces of logic. The first, checking the total of the request, and the second, checking if the sales meeting option is set in the form. Since either of these pieces can be true for us to show the informational field about reimbursement, we'll make sure to set the criteria to OR. But what if our business requirement was a little more complicated? For example, what if we will reimburse the full cost of a meal if it was under $10, or the meal was under $15 and for a sales meeting, or if it was a meal ordered at a conference and paid for by a company-issued credit card? Now we have 5 different pieces of logic. Let's go build it. Even though we have 5 different pieces, note that some of these pieces go together. The under $15 total only applies if it was a sales meeting, and the conference meal is only fully reimbursed if it was paid using a company credit card. This is a great use case for using logic groups. But first, let's get that single business requirement piece out of the way. Now that we're getting into pieces that go together, so I'll create a group. Inside that group, I'll add the 2 pieces, again referencing form fields, and make sure our criteria is set to AND, since both of these pieces need to be true together for us to reimburse the full meal. Let's add another group to capture the final pair of logic pieces to our business requirement. We'll reference our form fields again, and once more make sure our criteria is set to AND. Now that all 5 pieces are in and some are grouped together as they should be, remember that if any of these 3 larger statements are true, we will reimburse the full meal. So we need to adjust the higher level criteria to OR. Phew, that was definitely more complicated, but we did it. Oh, now I think I'm ready for lunch. Visif tips and tricks. There are many spots in our framework for a Visif. Always try to remember the goal. Are you trying to show something or make something read-only? You might need to adjust the logic in your head to make sure it aligns with the goal of the Visif. If you have multiple logic pieces that should return true if a field has one of 3 or 4 values, you don't need to configure 3 or 4 different parts. You can use the isIn evaluator instead. That lets you enter in multiple potential values for a single smart source. Once you use a remembered logic part, notice that you can change a qualifier before it to is or is not. This may help you configure Visifs more quickly or efficiently, or allow you to quickly update your logic if you find you accidentally wrote it backwards. Because Visifs have many types of evaluators, it's sometimes possible to configure a business requirement in multiple ways. Some can be straightforward, while others can be much more roundabout and complicated. If you're not getting the results you expect, try configuring the logic in a different way. And of course, if you get really stuck, send us an email at support@GideonTaylor and we'll brainstorm together. For more information on building Visual Ifs, we have tips and tricks documents available at the GT Customer Self-Service site, and feature documentation on the GT Documents site at docs.gideontaylor.com. We hope this video helped you translate your complex business logic conditions into Visual Ifs for your eForms. Want more practice with Visifs? Sign up for our Advanced eForm Configuration course today at docs.gideontaylor.com/training. Thanks for watching.